If you just joined us, welcome to Hearthstone Hour. I'm Hammy, videoing for felcraft.org, and we are jumping into Hearthstone just from a new player's perspective with a bit of background as to card games, to the Warcraft universe and similar. So if you have only just joined us, what we've been doing is doing a bit of an introduction to the arena and talking through some fundamentals as to how you can try and draft a deck. We picked Paladin and have drafted a deck that focuses mostly on trading evenly in the early game, holding our own, and then trying to swing away with big minions in the late game. So we've got a Paladin versus Warrior matchup, and we're getting second. In terms of the starting hand, some nice cards there, but naturally, even though we're going second, we do get the coin, which lets us have 1 mana when we want it, which means we can get a card going a little bit quicker. A lot of these heavy, expensive cards we are not going to get going to the late game, so this hand is almost a full mulligan. It's kind of a choice as to whether you want to keep that Worgen or not. He will trade. I could get him out turn 2 with the coin as well to add the extra mana. I'm going to keep him for now. However, if you wanted something with a 2 or a 1, trading him in would be an equally good decision. So my resulting hand is not too much better. Some nice cards, but none of them are coming to me really early in the game. And greetings to you, my friend. Though my opponent has done nothing, this is not going to help me. The coin, if you go second in whether it's constructed or normal Hearthstone, you get the coin, which just gives you an extra mana. So my first turn I could pull out a 2 mana minion, second turn 3 mana, so on and so forth. The later you get in the game without playing the coin, the kind of less useful it becomes, because you may have a bit of mana floating around anyway. Unless I really wanted to pull a Silverhand Recruit for 1/1, I'm not going to play my coin. I'm just going to knock on the table and let our warrior power continue. So if you haven't seen a warrior before, ability of armor up, 2 mana, 2 armor. You need to destroy the armor before you start doing damage to the health, which kind of makes sense with the Warcraft universe. If he's playing that on turn 2, he's lacking minions, he's lacking options. When people use their hero power, it's either because they've got mana going to spare, or because they're struggling a bit for draw power in their hand, or not quite getting what they want. So, turn 2. I have some options. The Acolyte of Pain, I'm kind of sitting and waiting for him to do damage to me. The Raging Worgen as a 1-drop is an immediate threat. And I can start swinging at his champion right away. For that, I'm going to drop my coin and drop the Worgen. Other options, I could have dropped the Archer and then used the coin to get my True Silver champion out next go. But because I've not been damaged so far, I'm kind of losing the restore 2 health element of that. Not that you'd wait to be damaged. Scarlet Crusader, a solid minion with Divine Shield. And as a result of that, this would be an instant trade. Is there a way I can get rid of that shield? If you look at my hand, there is. However, because of that 3 damage, this would just be an instant swap. Let's take a look and see what we have as the best option here. The Elven Archer will let me remove, and then I can trade my Raging Worgen away. We originally thought of the theme of this deck as being trade well in the early game, and swing big minions late game with a clear board. I could just trade this off straight away. If I attack him or give him the option, he might find another way of getting rid of me. A Blessing of Wisdom would allow me to draw a card for my extra 1 mana. I'm going to drop a Silverhand minion for the time being, and let's trade away. Attacking, I could have attacked the champion at that stage, but in theme with the deck, let's try and make sure we keep the field clear. So he's armoured up, he's armouring up again, which indicates he's not pulling any 4 mana cards he'd like to play, and he's tapped on the table again, so he's saving up a combo, or he's struggling a bit for cheap cards there, which is interesting. So we're not in the lead by any means at the moment, but we've certainly got some options. I could drop Spellbreaker and sort of declare my intent. I could drop a True Silver champion, or I could just get more minions on the board. Something to start attacking and putting the pressure on would be good, because he'll probably drop a flurry of minions and I'm going to need to react. For that reason, I'm inclined towards Spellbreaker, but I'm of course wasting that silence ability. I could also use this as an opportunity to start drawing cards. For that reason, I'm going to That was a big misplay, because I should have really dropped that on something that I could have attacked with this go to draw a card. Don't drop your blessing on a card which you can't attack with. I could have got a card straight away for that, so my bad. Ouch! So you can see that death rattle on the Abomination. When he dies, 2 damage to all characters. As you can see with my field, that's going to be hurting me quite a bit. And with 4 health and taunt, that guy's also going to be doing some damage as well. Now it's a good job I didn't drop my Spellbreaker. You can see that now if I drop Spellbreaker, I can silence him. So the silent takes off his card text, he's no longer a tank, and he will no longer do 2 damage to all characters. So there's nothing that I can actually trade with him right now, but I can draw a card by attacking with my Blessing of Wisdomed hero. I can just move a little bit of armour off, and although I've not actually traded away that Abomination, which I could have taken the option to, I've got the threat on the board, so if he doesn't take Spellbreaker, I'll take his Abomination next go. All in all, conservatively speaking at the moment, unless he pulls something very strong as an ability, and warriors do have abilities that will clear a lot of low health minions quite quickly, it's looking not too bad at the moment. Ouch! So you can see that he's taken the trade on top of himself, and as a result he's still alive as well. So I've still got my low minions, we're sort of even there or thereabouts, so he's by no means out of it just yet. I can trade for 1 there, so I've got an easy trade. I wouldn't say I'm ahead, but I can certainly choose my next move. A Silverhand Knight would get some more pressure on him, a Billy Bag Bodyguard would allow me to protect, but I've got nothing to protect against this go just yet. So for that reason, I feel as though I'm going to get some more minions down on the board. And get my Squire out as well, which is good. Let's get the trade away as well, get that nasty 5 attack minion off of the board. We can drop a little attack on his warrior, and with no more mana, that's our go done. Gulp of tea, thirsty work this talking. So, it's a solid drop. Lepanome, you can see the death rattle there. For a 1 mana drop, 2 health, an extra 2 damage to the enemy hero. If you're sealed in draft and you're lacking stuff for a 1 mana drop, you can do a lot worse than a Lepanome. I could have dropped my Billy Bag Bodyguard Lost Go, but because he had nothing to attack with, it's another turn to get set up, so tried to use that turn to almost get a little bit ahead of the game. Right, so with 7 mana we're coming to the late game and we've got a few more options. We now set up the possibility of a few interesting trades. This is where Argent Protector comes into its own. So you can see that my battle cry here is giving a friendly minion Divine Shield. If I give Divine Shield to my Silverhand Knight, he's got 4 attack, 4 health, and you can see who I'm lining up. I take 0 damage and I've traded away their tank. For this reason, I've got 1 more 1/1, so I may as well use that to trade away this Lepanome. I do take 2 damage, but I've got board position. You can see that I've got 3 minions down, that's a potential 8 damage next go, a reasonable amount of health, and still got 5 mana. If I wanted to be safe, I could drop a taunt so that they forced onto me. I could take the attack to him with some more minions, but Billy Bay is so generally solid. It was that or True Silver Champion. And we'll get a cheeky little attack in as well. One thing that is so easy to do in this game, because it's not strictly turn-based like Magic or other things you may have played, it doesn't force you to have an attacking with minions phase, so please, please, please make sure that you attack with all your minions that you want to attack with before ending your go. The game won't remind you to do that, so you need to make sure you do it yourself. Lots of furrowed brow from Garrosh here as the warrior Bloodsong contemplates his next move. Armouring up, always solid, but do you not have better things to spend your own mana on? He might be struggling. There's Whirlwind. As I said, warriors do have that ability to sweep away health off all of the minions. I'm wondering if he's got another one that picks off 2 minions in one go. There we go, 1 damage to a minion with 2 attack. So he zaps someone off the table with that. Adjacent minions have got 1 attack. Okay, so we've got some trades now. And now what we need to do is just work out carefully our next move. In terms of the theme of our deck, he has struggled a bit with draws, but we're semi on top. I'd say we're kind of where we want to be. But we just need to make sure that we pick off the following trades quite well so that we can set ourselves up for the rest of the game. True Silver Champion will let us trade something away for fairly cheap. I can, say for example, pick that off with my champion, heal myself for 2, take 2 damage. The first thing to do is to get rid of that Cruel Taskmaster. He will be down. I can trade that away. I could drop a couple more minions. Here is where that combo that I highlighted to you earlier comes into play. So if I drop True Silver Champion, that costs 4 mana, and you can see that immediately my Dread Corsair is now free. So not only can I drop that Dread Corsair, but I could either buff another one of my minion. Oh, very kind of you, thank you. The opponent acknowledging very kindly that was quite a nice little combo to do. So with 4 mana remaining, I could really buff up my tank minion and make a swing for it, and I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to Blessings of Kings my tank. I'm going to trade away this minion using True Silver Champion, and you'll see that I get healed for 2 and take 2, and then that leaves me a bit of time to swing twice, and then my turn. So we've managed to get ourselves in a really strong board position here. 2 very strong taunting tanking minions on the board. We've applied some good pressure. He's at half health. Feeling pretty solid at the moment. Hearthstone games can turn around in an instant. All it requires is for him to drop a Ragnaros or something like that, or some horrible late game minion. So don't think the game is won just because you're ahead. Many's the time where I've had a huge health lead and then suddenly seen the cards go against me. And just because they haven't pulled good cards in the early game, don't be fooled, because it means that all of those cards are in their deck for later in the game as well. So they haven't gone anywhere, they're just waiting to be pulled most of the time, unless they've had a really bad draft. So we saw, while I was jabbering away, our warrior drop a Dark Scale Healer, solid 5 mana card, gives the heal across the board, and the Alarmo bot that we could have sort of semi-mocked earlier. But it could come out and do something pretty nasty. There's trading ability here. It's worth seeing if we can do the 16 to finish the game in one go. That's not possible. Hang on a second. I might not be able to add. There's 13, there's 9 damage there, 13, 16, and True Silver Champion. So actually this game is over, unless I've missed something fundamental. We'll play through it in a reasonable way. We'll get that champion down that buffs everyone by 1. There's no one tanking. I don't think I've missed anything. We will pull another card with Norris Engineer, and then we will slowly start attacking with these and hope that I'm not looking silly on stream. I'm not. So, good game. And a very courteous opponent there as well. 3 victories and 40 gold. Well worth grinding through those quests. So, as a quick summary of that game, that was our first Paladin entry into the arena. It went okay. The theme of our deck, the rough idea that we tried to draft to, seemed to come out okay, as much as luck as our card selection, but it seemed to work. We managed to stay on top in the early game, trade minions, and then get some big hitters out late game to take the victory. That warrior did have some serious draw problems. Whatever his theme was of his deck or of his cards, it just wasn't coming out whatsoever. So got a feel for him a bit there. And in the arena, as in other Hearthstone games, you will get a handful of expensive cards in your early goes, and quite possibly watch as you get torn to bits. It just happens. Any game of chance has got that involved as well. So we'll just play one more game, see how this Paladin deck shapes up in one more match, and then that'll be us for this evening. So thanks very much for tuning in. Welcome if you just joined us. This is the Hearthstone Hour. I'm Hammy, and tonight we're just doing an introduction to Arena and taking a look at how our Paladin drafted deck fares in the whole arena in a couple of games, running through it, seeing if the theme sort of sticks to what we wanted to do, and taking it from there. So we're just going to do a cheeky little announce. See if we can get some more people coming to join us. And sadly, I've just realised that a lot of my broadcast features aren't working. So I just need to quickly log in and make sure that I'm actually broadcasting to people. Kind of hard for people to find your stream if you're not tweeting about it when it goes out. Cool, announce to Twitter. So let's just hope that that's worked. If you're on Twitter, you can join us at Failcraftcasts. We tweet when we stick blog articles up, when we're streaming, when we put up new YouTube videos. So if you want to keep in touch, have a bit of a chat with us, find out a bit more, great place to come, and really look forward to seeing you saying something there. Cool. So hopefully that tweet's gone out. Maybe we'll have some more people joining us soon, but let's not delay and jump straight into our second arena game. It's not No Nick George, it is a worthy opponent as always. Okay, Hunter decks. So in the arena you can get some nastiness of a card called Unleash the Hounds, which buffs all beast minions for very, very cheap mana very early on. Let's have a look at my starting hand going first. I got my Young Priestess, Consecration and Argent Commander, so let's get rid of the very expensive cards and start with the 1 mana one. And that's not much better in exchange, possibly worse. And greetings to you as well. Let's see what we've got. Another random friendly minion, 1 health. It's really all I can play. There's a good chance he may just trade that away, but we'll have to take the risk. Other beasts have got 1 attack, and the trade is immediately set up. It's not going to help me too much, is it? The reason I haven't traded there was just to get the health buff on this guy. I would imagine that he will trade away my Young Priestess pretty quick. So rather than me making the trade and losing that chance to have the 1 health, I'm going to give him the option. Hunters also have secrets, just like Paladins, just like mages. So whatever that could be, we'll find out shortly. It could be a freezing trap, it could be something that if I try and attack the enemy champion that comes into play. There are a couple of other hunter secrets as well. For 3-3, there's still not much going on for me, so I'll play what I've got. When my eye for an eye procs, I'll do the same damage to him as he does to me. I'm going to see what this secret is. There we go. Explosive trap. Ouch. And then I do the damage back to him. So, not a bad hunter secret there we saw. Explosive trap. When your hero's attack do 2 damage to all enemies. That's pretty much a board clear. So we're right back to square one. He still does have his The Coin, so he could play a 4 mana minion this go. While we wait for our opponent to make his move, you should always have a look around whatever Hearthstone battlefield you're on and have a good click. There's always lots of fun things that the environment does. And what options do I have at Fuzzy 4? I'll save my Hammer of Wrath Zap. I don't think there's anything too wrong with just a quick trade. I'll get him off the board. That was slight overkill, of course. So I did there were 2 damage that I did over, as it were, that I could have done on something else. So generally, if you've got something with durability and you're taking swings, you don't want to be wasting damage undealt, if that makes sense. Damage that you could have dealt to something which would have stuck it on. So if I'd stuck 4 on Rexar, for example, then it's there. You'd have to heal it off. You'd have to manage it, as opposed to 2 damage overkill that just goes into nowhere. Our hunter is taking his time. I'm going to cut some vines on here in the meantime. Light a campfire and create a rainbow. Or not create a rainbow. Maybe that's on. There we go. Nice little rainbow there. Okay. Let's have a look at this guy. Whenever one of your other minions dies, draw a card. So if I kill it pretty quick, then it doesn't do anything. Excellent. Consecration feels like a waste with 1 minion. Spellbreaker will remove the effect. But it would be nice to get some more minions on the field. Hammer of Wrath is 1 damage underkill, but it lets me draw a card. So for that reason, let's keep the board clear. I can take a 4 swing, d4 damage, heal my health back up. The board's still clear, and we've managed to put a few damage on our opponent. So pretty much blow for blow even at this point in time. Hunter decks can come out with a lot of beasts very quickly. They've got Unleash the Hounds and some quite tasty buff cards, and they also self-buff between beasts pretty well, as I think we're going to see now. Okay, combos going on here. There's Unleash the Hounds. I will explain this as soon as he's finished doing it. So what we saw with this combo was whenever you summon a beast, draw a card. He then dropped Scourging Hyena whenever a beast dies, getting 2/1. We then saw Unleash the Hounds. So for 1 mana, that gives beasts +1 attack and charge, which means they can all attack first go. And then he swung at me for 6. And now we've actually got 2 quite painful minions. But it was actually quite nice that we saved Consecration. So, and although we have dropped some mana that we could have been spending on getting more expensive things out, we've managed to get out our Fairy Trading Dragon really amply set up. I mean, unless he's dropping a 6 or a 5 mana minion, that will let us take something straight off the board. A lot of beasts, or the early game beasts, it's just out of our reach at 4 health there, look.
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
Buffs his tank, nice. Shattered Sun Cleric gives a friendly minion 1/1. Now we've got 7 mana, so we've got some options open to us now. There's a trade for that Shattered Sun Cleric, but of course, because he's got a taunting minion on the field, we need to get through that first. What are our options for zapping down that 5 health minion? Also worth noting that a silence will remove card text, but it also does remove buffs. So dropping a Spellbreaker would actually drop his health back down to 4 and his attack back down to 1. Makes him tradable, but not to the Spellbreaker on one go. The Argent Commander is a brilliant trading like-for-like card. The Sea Giant is actually within our reach because of other minions on the battlefield as well, which could be an interesting option. Might be slight overkill, but would present quite a sizable threat. So here we've effectively got a choice. We can try and zap things out of the way and go for an even trade and see what he pulls next, but he will then get the field advantage. Or we can sort of take the impetus by dropping a bunch of other minions. I feel as though I'm going to go with two minions and silencing the tank and then trading away. That exchange has left us with 1 more minion on the board. We've managed to negate the buffed up effect of that tank, and we've taken the tank away, so we've semi-stuck him on the back foot. What you just saw there was Animal Companion, hunt a unique card, 3 mana, summon a random beast, and there are 3 or 4 random beasts you can pick. We've just got counter silenced as well. You can see that Leok is actually buffing all of these guys, so we might want to take Leok. At the same time, that Spellbreaker with the extra 5 health is then quite dangerous. So you kind of get into a dilemma when you have one of those buffing cards on the table, like Raid Leader as well. Do you take out the buffing card, or do you just trade for trade, like for like? Interesting, I've got a freeze. That could be quite handy. And what it may do is let me trade down and trade away some of this stuff. Okay, we've got options. Let's just work out what the best one is. The ultimate card for trading stuff away is actually here in Divine Shield and the Urgent Commander. The Frost Elemental we can use to trade something away in Ixco 2, which might be another solid pick. And then the Sea Giant just feels like a no-brainer at this point in time because it's now only 5 mana. It would be very silly not to. The Acolyte of Pain requires attacking, and at this stage it might not actually be attacked, but we can certainly force it to take damage and draw a card. Possibly better than a 1-1 at this point in time. So for that reason, let's get him on the table. Now, my options here are probably, if I trade away, this will die either way. I'm going to pick him off. Leok is a danger, so if I pick him off, then that's good. This might die. I now have got a 3-1 lead in terms of minions, and although he could do some damage, he could hurt me, it's likely that Spellbreaker will die next go. I've managed to get my big Sea Giant on the table. Fab. Sorry for the lag in terms of client there. What you may have missed was a steady shot on my champion. He traded away the Spellbreaker as expected, and then he's dropped a Stranglethorn Tiger, which you saw us have a look at as well. Stealth, 5/5, really nice card. And he's threatening us. Let's threaten him. Justice does indeed demand retribution. I can freeze a character, but I can't actually target him with that freeze. Charge and Divine Shield. I want to save that ability for now. I can't attack him until he attacks me. We are on equal health at this point in time, but he cannot be targeted, as you can see here. So for that reason, we should just take a few pops, and because there's charge, let's get the 4 down. So it's looking as though we've got this next go. He could have a wondrous hand, so let's not count our chickens just yet. But we can certainly do the damage. If it dies, it summons the hyenas. He does 2 damage to me. He can do another 5 to me with the tiger. What else has he got left? I don't think he's got anything. So, as you can see, he's got no tanks. That is good game because of the amount of damage I can put down. And he's conceded. So we'll say well played. Good sportsmanship there. And a victory. You can note that we've not actually got our Paladin fully up to 20 with all the cards yet, but that's good. So, not actually a bad start for this Paladin deck. We have been a little bit lucky in terms of a few of the matchups that we've played, but the concept seems to be pretty solid. We're trading off minions early game, we're keeping the board generally under control, and then when it comes to the late game, we're sort of pushing ahead to the mid-late game with a big bunch of bigger, more tanky minions and swinging away for that damage and victory. So at the moment, fingers crossed, it's not going too badly. However, we've not played a priest or a mage yet, which are very solid in their own rights, and equally can be, with the luck of the drawer side, can be ridiculous in draft and ridiculous in the arena. So we won't count our chickens, but 2 wins to start with is a pretty good start. As you can see, with 2 wins down, no losses. The max you can go up on an arena run is 9 wins in a row before you have to cash in. So hopefully we can string together a few more wins and get a few more rewards at the end of it. And as we spent quite a bit of time running through the basics arena, that completes our hour. So thanks very much for tuning in. I'm Hammy, and this has been Hearthstone Hour, as part of Failcraft Casts. If you'd like to read more or find out more, we do a bunch of other games as well. You can find us on failcraft.org. On Twitter, you can find us at FailcraftCasts. You've obviously found us on Twitch. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is also done live most evenings. We're Failcraftcast on Twitch, so that's twitch.com/failcraftcast. You can also sign up to email alerts as well, so when we go live you can get an email letting you know, so you don't have to miss out if you don't want to. And we're also on YouTube, and you can find us there at Failcraftcast as well, so youtube.com/failcraftcasts. Always like to know how we can do things better, so if you've got any comments, if you see this on YouTube, please like, dislike, comment on the video. Any feedback is useful, as long as you let us know what you'd like to see and what we can do better. That's always appreciated. You can comment on the blog, you can tweet us, we've got a Facebook page. Wherever you want to come and talk to us and let us know what you want to see, you can find us there. So thanks very much for tuning in. Really appreciate you joining us. And in the next Hearthstone half hour or hour, depending on what we have time for, we will probably do a little bit more Paladin Arena, and we'll also take a look at Priest constructed decks on the ladder. Priest, Mage, Paladin, 3 very popular deck types at the moment, all very, very strong. So what we'll be doing is just taking a look at probably those in sequence, maybe once a week, and also looking through some deck lists, so you can have a look at how people put together constructed decks, what these archetypes run off, because they're the ones I'm most familiar with at the moment, how you can put together a good deck, and what kind of concepts and ideas you should be thinking about when putting together your constructed deck for the ladder. You do not need to spend a bunch of money or spend a bunch of playtime to put together a fairly solid deck in Hearthstone, which is a great thing about this game. You're not buying loads and loads of packets. In real life, you can get some fairly solid cards in the starting decks. So thank you very much,